So without further ado, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for this session today. My name is Nicholas. I'm the solutions consultant for Elsevier, and I covered the segment territories of Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, and Brunei. So today I'll be speaking to you on how you can empower your research with ScienceDirect. But before I start, I hope everyone here is safe, they have been well. I understand that the movement control order has been very challenging in these specific times, and I hope everyone is all right. So the agenda for today, I'll be sharing with you on what's behind ScienceDirect, the platform itself, how you can search on ScienceDirect, how you conduct your search, the impactful research that you can do via ScienceDirect, as well as additional resources that you may be able to get. So this training session will comprise of two components. The first one will be ScienceDirect. Secondly will be Scopus, both of which USM has. So first and foremost, what is actually behind ScienceDirect? So first and foremost, I can't see a show of your hands. I can't see your faces. So this method normally doesn't work. But how many of you actually know who Elsevier is? Right, you know Elsevier as the tree, but really we are a global information analytics company specializing in science and research. We are the world's largest journal publishing company, and we help to actually, and one of the company's goals actually is to help professionals to progress science, advance healthcare, and to improve performance in their research. And we do this by combining content with technology, which is in turn supported by operational efficiency so that we can turn information into actionable knowledge. And why we do this is so that you're able to do and solve the challenges that you're facing for science and for humanity. So by combining content with technology to provide actionable knowledge, we do this via a few methods. The first, we publish all our journals on Elsevier. You'll be familiar with some journals such as Cell, Lancet, Tetrahedron, Gray's Anatomy, Fundamentals. We publish all this on journals and handbooks. We provide you with a platform to search for all this content and data such as ScienceDirect, Scopus, Clinical Key, and Reaxis. And we are able to do this, and we allow you to manage your research more effectively and better through reference manager tools such as Mendeley. So one thing which I wanted to share with you is that on average, researchers spend over 4 hours searching for research articles a week, and only more than 5 hours reading them. So you read 5 to 6 hours a week, and only half are considered useful. The long story short here is that you spend a lot of time doing research. How are you sure that what you're doing is actually the most effective possible way? So there's been some changes over usage patterns over the past 10 years, from 2011 to 2019, right? You spend 4 hours searching, 5 hours reading. So because there's more content available in the world, so now it is actually more challenging for you to conduct your search in the best possible way. So ScienceDirect allows you to focus on increasing your research effectiveness by making sure that our platform will be incorporated with innovative technologies. So you're able to uncover more novel science, you can use the time efficiently and effectively, and you can make decisions based on the highest quality of scientific information. So before I continue further, I understand that there is a chat box here. So what I would say is that for this chat box, please use it to put in the questions that you may have during the course of the presentation. And towards the end of the training, I'll address the questions that you probably would have raised. So moving on. So we have the highest quality of science on ScienceDirect because we want to make sure that the information that you can find is of the highest standard. So we deliver over 16 million publications from over 3,800 journals and from more than 37,000 books. 65 of our journals are ranked #1 in their respective subject categories out of 236, and this is based on JCR 2018. Of the top 5% cited articles in the world, 30% belongs to Elsevier. So Elsevier has approximately over 8,000 people in employment. So the reason you're probably wondering is why are there so many people in a publishing company? And the reason is actually, well, I won't say 2 million, but we have over 2 million article submissions to us every single year, and more than one article is submitted every single minute. And we publish approximately about a quarter, so 500,000 articles every single year. So for those of you who are wondering and probably saying, hey, Elsevier rejects all our papers all the time, I would say, probably not all the time, maybe just 75%. But to manage this sheer volume of information coming in, we do need to manage this process very seamlessly. And how we do this is we have approximately about 500 employees in publishing. We facilitate scholarly communication by organizing editorial boards. We launch new subscription journals. We run about 2,800 active journals. And we collaborate with over 23,000 editors globally. And these editors, they're all more or less subject matter experts and researchers and head of and dean of faculties within their own field. We coordinate up to 400,000 reviewers and to promote 600,000 authors. Within our global network of editors, we actually manage a very large volume of communications with the authors who have submitted their articles to us. And we have about 7 million of them every single year. So one of the editors that I met when I was doing a course in Amsterdam, one of the editors actually shared that what he spent most of the time doing was to identify the most important peer reviewer or the best peer reviewer who could do the job for a submitted article. And this actually took him the largest part of the day. So for editors, searching for the best and most accurate peer reviewers actually is the most strenuous task. And this is something that you should probably know that of what actually goes on behind in the peer review process. And as a result, we are able to produce over 500,000 new articles every year. The content is tagged for discoverability. Articles are content enriched with interactive graphs, 3D models, and data visualizations. And there are rigorous quality control processes in place. And as a result, we provide access, training, and support to over 4,500 institutions from 180 countries to up to 16 million monthly users. On our technical side, our product managers and developers constantly maintain the article recommender algorithm to develop and to improve the product using agile methodology to make sure that all 16 million digital articles that we have in the repository are visible and viewable to the rest of the world. So I thought this is something that will be interesting to you because a lot of people will be asking, what are the contents and information that we can see over on ScienceDirect? So the total sheer volume of article growth has increased from 258,000 in 2006 to 497,000 in 2019. This is a fantastic volume. And what I can say for Malaysia is that Malaysia is actually the largest publisher of journal articles in the whole of Southeast Asia. The Freedom Collection to which USM, you can probably also see this and you have access to this through the specific details as well. So you can see that the article growth of the Freedom Collection has also been increasing each and every single year. And I thought it'd be interesting to also point out that your access to the journal subject collections in USM can be broken down into these specific areas, right? You can see that there is a lot of content in health sciences, social sciences, engineering, material sciences, agriculture, biochemistry. So I would say that actually you have a very holistic range of articles and content to support you, especially for USM when these subject areas are your key specializations. We can see that based on Journal Citation Reports 2018, Elsevier ranks number 1 in 65 categories out of 235 categories. And you can see that in terms of top share of other subject categories, we do perform fairly well as well. So I think enough of talking platform. I think it'll be interesting to also show that we've spent some time talking about platform, about the content. So let's actually show you on the platform itself. So I mentioned earlier that ScienceDirect has incorporated innovative technologies to evolve the information discovery and management processes. We have divided our approach into 3 methods. 1, on how you're able to uncover new research. 2, on how you can deliver search results that are more relevant and delivered faster than before. And also to provide a best-in-class use experience. So for those of you, I understand that some of you may be facing audio technicalities. You may want to try reconnecting again. So we constantly focus on 3 areas to ensure the best possible customer experience, a better performance so that journal homepages will be loading faster, more accurate results, and to emphasize on the ease of use. There's a whole range of content that you can find on Elsevier itself. So we talk about journal articles, right? In terms of journal articles, in terms of journal review articles, it ranges down to books such as serials, ebooks, textbooks, and other major reference works. So there's some key features on ScienceDirect, right? But the long story short is that we want you to help you to discover relevant information, keep you updated on the latest developments and news, provide you with access to detail, and to make the entire process quick and easy. So first and foremost though, before we all get started, I would encourage you to actually create an account. By creating an account on ScienceDirect, you have access to some of the interesting product platforms that we actually have developed. So to create an account is actually very simple. Simply fill in your first name, your last name, your email, and your password, and then you just need to create your account, and that's it. It's actually a very straightforward process. The next thing I would also say is that considering that most of everyone is actually working from home, I would also encourage everyone to also apply for remote access. So you can access ScienceDirect anywhere at any time. And it's a very straightforward process. Just apply for your remote access via your institutional ID, and then we send an email to you so that in this case, you can access content to ScienceDirect anywhere. And this is the platform itself after you have logged in, right? So the key thing to the ScienceDirect platform is also what we call the search bar. You can key in article keywords, the author name, the journal book and title, volume, issue, page numbers. So you'll be able to support the 4 most frequent research tasks that's available on every single page. And this is the fun part, how you can actually search. Some of you may be search experts, some of you may not. But I thought that in any case, this would be an interesting way for you to actually find out more and to do search more effectively. So first and foremost, you need to choose specific search terms, right? You should, first and foremost, structure a query in your mind. You need to understand what are the key search words that are closely related to your research topic, right? So you are able to include alternate words and abbreviations at the same time while avoiding words that are too general. So you need to structure this. The other question that comes in is what happens when you have multiple keywords that you want to work around with? And this is where Boolean operators come into handy. So there are 3 main key Boolean operators, and, or, not. So the and Boolean operator allows you to find documents which contains all of the search terms. You can use this when the terms must appear and may be far apart from one another. So for instance, if you're looking for a geographic information system, you add in the Boolean operator and include the word urban sustainability. So one thing which I will emphasize here is that when you're looking for very specific search terms, if you're looking for, say, geographic information system, you notice that there is actually an open inverted comma here. And this is what you do to actually categorize keywords together, right? When you're looking for key phrases. You can find documents that contains any of the terms. You can use the documents that use the or, where at least one of the terms must appear. So if you're looking for keywords, including synonyms, alternate spellings, or abbreviations, the or Boolean operator itself is very, very useful. So think of the and as a way to narrow down your search, the or is the best way for you to expand your search, right? So if I'm looking for a search term such as micromouse, I can look for micromouse or picomouse because they are essentially the same words. If you're looking for permutation such as Professor S.W. Hawking or Stephen W. Hawking or Stephen Hawking, you can do the same as well. The other Boolean operator I will encourage you to do is the not operator. So the not operator excludes documents which includes the specific term from the search. You use the not operator to exclude specific terms, and the connector must be used at the end of a search. So for instance, if you're using particle collisions and not theoretical. So users can combine terms using Boolean operators and or not. You can group terms using parentheses, such as multi-level nested clauses. So for instance, if you're looking for a black hole, put it in brackets, or radiation, and then you add the word gravity. So as it is with most Boolean operator words, there's what we call precedence rules, right? The not takes precedence over and, which takes precedence over or. So the not, and or, right? So this is in this specific sequence. So for instance, we're looking for Tesla and self-driving cars or self-driving vehicles, right? We notice there's 309 results, but the one that doesn't work would be for self-driving cars first or self-driving vehicles and then Tesla, because logically that doesn't make sense, right? So you need to be very careful with the precedence rules. So the next thing which I'll also share with you is to find variations of a word. So if you want to search for a specific phrase, enclose the phrase in open inverted commas, such as Southeast Asia. So remember what I said just now, like a geographic information system? So you can probably also see all this actually by putting them and phrasing them within the Southeast Asia term itself, the open inverted commas itself. Sometimes you may want to use the singular form of a word so that you can find singular, plural, and possessive forms of the most words. Special characters are also included within the search itself. So you can see that there's a subscript and superscript where you can include characters on the same line as other characters. For instance, if you're looking for, say, H2O, you don't need to write the H2 subscript and then O. Just H2 and O will be fine. If you're looking for, say, specifically authors, if you're looking for them with a very specific accented characters, such as a Dr. Frost, you don't need to put in F umlaut RST. You can simply type in FURST and that will be fine. So non-alphanumeric characters such as hyphens, bullets, plus signs, and minus signs are all completely ignored unless they are enclosed within brackets itself. The other one which I wanted to share with you is what we call wildcard characters, so that you're able to search for variations of a word. So asterisk replaces multiple characters anywhere within the word. It can be used to replace 0 and more characters. So optim asterisk, right? You can see that this means optimizing, optimistic, optimal. If you want to exclude terms, you can also use the minus hyphen operator. So you can find articles related to depression, but not economic depression, by searching for depression hyphen economics. So if you're looking for, say, a Professor Heisenberg, but not by Professor Sommerfeld, you can add the following in the author search box, a Heisenberg dash Sommerfeld. So this is essentially an exclusion device. So I actually have a couple of exercises that I kind of want to run through with you. So we have over here intellectual property in Malaysia and social culturalism in financial inclusive institutions, right? So first and foremost, for intellectual property in Malaysia, maybe you want to search for intellectual property and you get approximately about 100,000 results. Then you realize this is way too much noise. I'm not going to spend time doing all the searches and to read through all this information. So let's narrow it down. And then you put in intellectual property and you get 40,000 searches. But that is probably still not enough. So now what you want to do is you add in the word intellectual property, use the and modifier, and then you include Malaysia. And this is when you'll be able to find the terms intellectual property throughout the entire PDF article that you're looking for. The other thing which I'll point out is that you can look for social culturalism in financial inclusive institutions. So look at financial inclusion, add the modifier, and include the term social culturalism. Okay, something I thought would be interesting for everyone here to do. And now we have about almost 285 participants. So please feel free to actually do this. So I'll give you maybe about 5 minutes, right? So by 10:25, try exploring using the search methods that I showed you just now to do a search for the novel coronavirus in Wuhan. So I'll give you approximately about 5 minutes. And you have any questions that you'd like to ask me during this time, you can type in during the chat and I'll answer it as you're doing the exercise. So it's very interesting. I have a huge range of questions coming over to me. So as some of you are finishing up the searches that you're doing this, first and foremost, for those of you who have just joined the call, um, if you want to have a recording of this session, the librarians will send it over to you once you have completed the registration form, right? So Corinne, don't worry about it. Another question that I have from Yana is what is ScienceDirect, what is Elsevier, and what is Scopus, and how they are all related? So that's also a very good question that we tend to have normally as well. So Rasmi is also asking what is ScienceDirect? So ScienceDirect is really the search platform for all of the articles that Elsevier publishes. So Elsevier is the world's largest journal article, and most of the time, journal publisher in the world, we have over about 2,800 journals, and we publish them, and most of them comprises of top quality content. So some questions people will ask is why don't I actually search on Google itself? Very simple, because the articles that you're getting on Google, they are not peer reviewed and they are not scientifically verified. So most of the time when you're doing your research, you want to make sure that you're able to get the most authentic information which you're getting so that you're able to make a very properly informed decision based on the research which you're doing. So that is actually what ScienceDirect is. Scopus is a different thing entirely, and I will explain what Scopus is during the next session so that I do not confuse people during this session itself. And okay, I see that a lot of you are getting different results. So let me show you one method that I'm doing. So first and foremost, I would say that there is no fixed answer, correct answer per se, which is why all of you guys are getting different numbers per se, right? It really depends on how you want to search it. So one of the most comprehensive methods that we can actually do is to search for nCoV-19 or coronavirus or corona space virus or 2019 nCoV or SARS nCoV or MERS or severe acute respiratory syndrome or the Middle East respiratory syndrome. So it depends on how you want to expand the searches and to narrow it specifically, right? You have more numbers if you want to include novel coronavirus, right, in the different permutations. But if you want to be very, very specific about the nCoV 2019, it means that your results will be much more specific. So there is no right or wrong answer per se. It's just really more or less like a guide for you to actually conduct your search. So one more thing that I will also share is that you get updated content every single day when you're using ScienceDirect because we update all information all the time. So for more information on how you may actually want to do more searches, you can actually access the service below on the support center. And I would also say that you're actually able to do these exercises as well another time. So another thing which I also want to share with you is that how you're actually able to access impactful research. So having conducted the search, a very key thing for you to now do is how do you refine all these results? So perfect. Like for instance, you have approximately about 786 results for COVID on ScienceDirect, but maybe not all of them is actually what you're specifically looking for. So you may want to do a few things, right? One, you may want to filter it by year, so you can refine it by the most recent years. Two, you can refine it based on the journal in which it's published in. You don't really want a review article because at the moment, the review article for COVID is way too present. So you want to make sure to give it some time to consolidate first before you read it, right? So there's different ways and permutations for you to control the search results. So to give you a very specific example on sustainable development, note that I've put down the sustainable development in open inverted commas so that you're actually able to search for the keywords itself. One thing which we have done is that we highlight these keywords for you as well. So when you're searching for these keywords, you can see how they fit into the search titles. At the same time, may I kindly encourage everyone to not use the annotate button because basically this leaves all drawings on the presentation itself. So the next one I will also show you is that you can look for the search results. When you're actually looking for this, you can set a search alert for yourself so you don't always have to run the same searches for yourself all the time. You're able to search to refine the way you do your searches. So you're able to refine it by the years of publication, the article type, the publication title, and the access type. So you're able to actually refine and sort this accordingly. Sometimes you want to look for the most relevant articles. Another time, what you may want to do is to also sort it by the date, right? So you're able to see which is the most updated articles that's actually being published on the platform itself. We try to make life easier for you as well. So what we do is for you to actually select and click onto the abstract. So you're able to display the article pages. So you're able to have a quick idea and gist of understanding what this whole article is about. You can download the PDF, you can read the abstract, and then you can also choose to cite it accordingly or to export it. You're also able to download multiple PDFs at once, and I'll cover this later. So we've spent some time actually updating the reader on ScienceDirect so that you're actually able to get information and you're able to read information in the best possible way. One of which is what we call the author data integration, so that you're able to evaluate the article and to evaluate and to collaborate with others and to connect with the right people that you may want to work with. So this author data integration is a very good way for you to expand on your network within the subject field itself. We do reference linkings so that if you're interested in finding out where an article gets its information and resources from and references from, you can click on the reference link and it will bring you to the specific link where you're able to do this research. We provide you with an updated figure and media viewer so that you're actually able to read the articles better. We'll provide you with article recommendations and citing articles. I'll go through this in more detail later. And this essentially itself is the intuitive online article format, or the PDF reader. So note for a couple of things. First, the bar on the left provides you with easy navigation. You're able to see the article abstract, abbreviations and keywords, conclusions, references. So if there's any specific area that you want to skip to, you can click on this and it will navigate you to the correct subsection. We also provide you with the recommended articles. So what does the recommended articles mean? So it means that if you're looking for this article, it's very strong likelihood that you're interested in other articles with very similar keywords. And based on the metadata search, we'll provide you with this specific platform. So you're able to see the recommended articles per se. You are also able to see the citing articles. And the citing articles is also really useful because now you're able to see what newer research have been able to call on this specific research so that you're able to find out how this research has translated into future applications or more updated applications. So this gives you a very good way to understand how research has been passed down from one author to another. We also provide you with a drop-down menu for you to find out more information about the author itself. So in this case, it's a Professor James Roger from the Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Last but not least, on this page, we provide you with article metrics so that you can find how popular this article is, how many times it has been saved, how many times it's trending on social media, and how many citations it has been receiving. We also provision you with the ability to obtain these article images and abstracts. You're able to download all these images on the image PowerPoint format, and you are actually able to search for all this information faster and prompter before. So a couple of questions at this point in time. So how does ScienceDirect actually capture the citing articles? That's a very good point. So to answer your question, Chi Hong, so what it does is that we basically have a way of tracking the mechanism because we also have Scopus as well, and that exists as a parallel product, right? So first and foremost, if the article is actually being cited by another article, we will be able to notice it. And then this is where we actually create the links for it. So this is also a module that we want to do. And this is only done only for Elsevier articles itself. So hopefully that answers your question. So we have a couple of other questions as well, but I'll answer those subsequently at the end of this session because they're not directly relevant to this specific component yet. So we have also been integrated with Mendeley, and I suppose some of you will be familiar with Mendeley, right, as a reference manager. If you're not able to be familiar with reference managers, I would highly encourage you to do it because as a student, when I was writing my thesis and I had about 70 citations, 70 references, and I realized I made a mistake of missing out on a comma somewhere along the citation style, and I had to go back and redo it 70 times. So that was not fun. But with a reference manager, you're now able to do this and expedite this in the best possible way, right? So not only is Mendeley a reference manager, allowing you to manage, read, share, and cite your research papers, it's also a very strong academic and social network tool, and we provide a crowdsourced database for you to find more information. So what we can do firstly, you can export your book chapters and journal articles into Mendeley from ScienceDirect. So some of you was asking, how do I do the search alerts, right? The search alerts, you can find it is right below the sheer number, the volume of results that you have obtained. So to establish the search alert, you want to follow these steps to establish it in the new service. So you can use the search form, enter the terms, journal names, authors in the corresponding fields, select the search. On the results page, you can simply select the search alert, enter the name of the search sheet, which alert that you would like to set up for, select the frequency in which you want the search to be run on a daily, weekly, fortnightly, or monthly basis, and then save it. So this is one of the key things that we also encourage you when you're creating a ScienceDirect account or an Elsevier account with us, because this account allows you to use it cross platforms, be it on Scopus, be it on Mendeley. So on the journal and book series alerts, first and foremost, if you're interested in keeping up to date publications, you can simply find a publication to add an alert in. simply go to the journal pages, right? Select the specific journal itself, and then you can add it as an alert. The other thing that we actually have created is what we call the ScienceDirect reading history. And this is a very, very new update that was implemented in September last year. So the reading history allows you to find out and to track accordingly onto which articles you have just read on ScienceDirect. So instead of going back and doing searches again, the reading history allows you to just go back and access the content that you were just reading prior. So think of this kind of like a history page. This one is actually pretty cool. This is what we call the ScienceDirect Personalized Recommender. So this is a free recommendation service, and it uses machine learning and an online activity to suggest research that's tailored to your needs. So how it works, once a researcher has registered, our adaptive algorithm uses the sign-in activity on ScienceDirect to understand your research interests. You will search through our database of 3,800 journals to find relevant content. And for you to try it yourself, it's very straightforward, right? You've created an account with ScienceDirect, you stay signed in while you're searching and you're browsing. So what happens is that when you're doing your searches and you're browsing it, we will keep track of what are some of the keywords that you're looking at and you spend more time on, and then it'll come up with a personalized recommendations list based on your sign-in activity. So I was interested in sustainable development. I was interested in data mining, in big data. At the same time, I was interested in agriculture, right? So these are three of the things that I was looking for, and these are the recommendations that are pushed forward to me, my account, when they found out that this was what I was reading. So some of our end users do like this. Some graduates like it because it provided them with articles that they have previously not found. It gave them ideas for other application areas of the techniques which they are using. Some faculty members like it because it's relevant to their lectures, so they're able to start classes by reviewing and to adding in a new perspective. So the recommendations is really a good organic way for you to find out more information than before, so you're actually able to build onto your base of knowledge. So under this recommended tool, So what else you can also do is that you can also browse on ScienceDirect through four major sciences: physical sciences, life sciences, health sciences, and social sciences, right? So based on these publications, we'll come up with you and we'll show you like a list of journals which we think that you might be interested in, right? So in this case, you're actually able to narrow down the subject area in which you're doing. So one thing which I want to point out is that we have been updating our journal homepages as well. So the journal homepages, when you actually select it, you're able to find out what are the articles in press, what are the latest issues. We can find out more information about the journal, which is actually very, very useful because now you're able to find out who's the editorial board, what is the methodology, etc. So this is actually a very good way for you to find out about a journal itself. The other thing which I also want to point out is that many of you as early career researchers, you want to publish, you're not sure what the processes are. So please select on one of these journals and it will give you a very thorough methodology and walkthrough process on how you can actually submit your articles if you do want to publish with Elsevier. We were talking previously about how you can download multiple PDFs. It's very straightforward. Simply select under your search results, select this under big data, and then do a batch download. So one thing which we have changed right now is that for batch downloads, this is now limited to 25 downloads per session. We also provide you with the ability to export citations onto Reference Manager as well. So one more key product that we have been working on is what we call the ScienceDirect topic pages. So this actually helps researchers to uncover critical and contextual information within your workflow. So you'll be able to see the overall clear definition. You can see related terms and you can find out more on the topic. So this is actually pretty useful. So if you're looking at, say, an article in clinical neurology and neurosurgery, you can see that there's a word highlighted as encephalitis. You're not sure what encephalitis means. So you can simply select on this and you come to the topics page and we'll show you what the definitions are. So this is good because now you understand what the subject is about. You're able to understand and to interpret the scientific literature. You can find out more through interdisciplinary links. So encephalitis, cell membranes, for instance, have other related terms such as macrophages, amygdala, EGF, amino acids. So now you're actually able to delve deeper into the subject area itself. And you're also able to see the relevant excerpts to see how all these articles come together. So this is actually a very good way for you to learn as well. So the other way that you may want to do it is to browse it on the topics pages itself, and then you come to the specific words. If you're looking for, say, E-isomer, simply go towards E, and you simply type to filter in, and you come to the topics pages that you're looking at. And how we have done this is that we have done it through data mining, taxonomy building, and algorithmic information extraction, relevancy ranking, and by doing quality confirmation. So the topic pages, to draw a parallel, will be very similar to the highlighted phrases that you see on Wikipedia. So the big difference between Wikipedia is that anyone can edit anything on Wikipedia. You don't know if this is peer-reviewed or scientifically accurate. So what you can do on the topic pages for ScienceDirect is what you can actually get from this topics itself. For those who are interested in open access, Elsevier is also driving itself to be one of the largest Go open access publishers in the world. We're probably the second largest as of the moment. And for librarians, some of whom I think you are on the call, you can simply support large data mining for government and academic research institutions by using APIs as well. So additional resources for ScienceDirect, which I want to share with you, is what we call the ScienceDirect Support Center. This is a very powerful tool. If you have any additional questions that you feel that was not addressed over the course of this call, please feel free to use the Support Center, and you may be able to find in a ticket, or you can look for any other topics which were not covered. Something which I personally really like is what we call the Elsevier Research Academy. Under this specific period of MCO, many of us are looking for access to online databases. The Researcher Academy right now is very, very powerful because it's really like a Coursera for researchers, right, and students. So it takes you through the different phases of the research cycle, from the beginnings of research preparation to the publishing process and to how you can demonstrate impact. So this allows you to prepare for PhDs and postdoctorates for your careers, either inside or outside of academia, how you can get funding for your research, how you can facilitate your papers to be accepted in top journals, and you'll be able to find support for the entire research cycle for free. So please go to researcheracademy.elsevier.com. This is really good. You'll also be able to find other content, such as how you can write your thesis into an article, how metrics can boost funding and networking opportunities, how you can write a manuscript in LaTeX, how you can store, share, and use data. And one of my favorites is how you can 10 tips on how you can write a really terrible journal article. So these are things that you should definitely avoid doing. So under the Elsevier Journal Finder, we also have questions most of the time on, if I want to publish my article, what is the best journal for me to publish in? And the Journal Finder is actually a very, very powerful tool for you to do this. This is a free resource which allows researchers to find journals that are best suited for publishing your scientific article. So what we normally do is that we encourage you to actually put in your page title, your paper abstract, and the keywords that you're looking for. So we actually have been developing what we call an Elsevier fingerprint engine. So it uses a smart search technology and field of research specific vocabularies to match your searches to Elsevier journals. So for instance, if you're finding for journals, simply type in your paper title, your paper abstract, and the keywords, the field of medicine, and select the field of research. And then we'll run a search for you, and then you'll be able to see the journals that match your paper in the best possible way. So you notice that for this specific area of science, in terms of autoimmune rippling muscles with gravis issues, you have Review Neurologic, you have Semagen, you have Neurologia Argentina, right? These are some of the key journals that comes up when you're searching for this specific phrase. The good thing about this is that you have metrics to justify how you may want to conduct to submit your research to. You can see it via site score. You can see it via impact factor. You can see the acceptance rate of the journal. You can see the time to the first decision, as well as the time to publication. So these are all actually pretty powerful tools that you can manage to do when you're trying to look for a journal for you to publish your article in. So thank you so much for your time. I understand that there were a lot of questions that were coming up, so let me try to address this one at a time. So for those of you who do have questions at this period, please feel free to type in right now, and I will spend maybe about 5 to 10 minutes addressing this question, your questions, before I move on to Scopus. Okay, someone has a question. So are all the content on Elsevier, are they reviewed by experts or researchers? They are reviewed by researchers. And the most important thing is the entire process that goes on, because we have publishers and editors. When you submit to a journal, the editors will do a first check, and he will submit this research article to be peer reviewed by the subject matter expert researchers, right? So they are both experts and they are both researchers. There is a process to document that this has been vetted by these experts, and only when multiple experts have confirmed the accuracy of this research is it considered to be accepted within the journal itself. So Belle, I hope that answers your question. From S, are there any other ways to access the articles if they're not able to download it? So what I would say is that USM has a very large number access to a lot of content. So you have probably about 400 access to over 420,000 articles, I would say, on 2019 alone, which is very substantial. But if you're looking for articles that you do not have access to, please approach your librarians, and your librarians can probably ask us to help. Shasrina asked on where we can get the reference format. So the reference format is probably assigned to you by your researcher, by your director. If you're referring to the reference format for the Elsevier articles, this is why we export all these formats into a CSV or a particular what we call a reference format form, such as Mendeley, which Mendeley and EndNotes can use. So this should actually help you as well. For reading history, actually, that's a very good question. I've not gone back all the way to time. So I would say that you can probably track it for up to at least 2 weeks to a month. But I'm not 100% accurate on this. So if you find out, you can let me know. Is it possible to put a sign on the articles that you have downloaded so you can skip them easily? That's a good question. I think I'm not sure if we have or if we are working on this right now, but that's something which I will let the team know. I think it's actually a pretty useful methodology. So Brel, sorry, this presentation will not cover on how you can publish a manuscript and a review paper. The next presentation, which you may be sitting in for, will cover on Scopus so that you're able to search on Scopus more effectively. Shasrina has also asked if we have a statistic graphs on topics published trend by year. So Elsevier has another platform called SciVal. So you'll be able to get something more similar on that platform, but ScienceDirect really is a repository of content for you to basically do your readings on. So once again, people are asking if you can have presentations recorded. Yes, you will. So someone's asking, Payal is asking me if there's a platform for all journals and if you can publish an article in a journal. So how you may want to do it, I'll walk you through just now, is first and foremost, if you're interested in publishing with an Elsevier journal, please go to the journal homepages itself. In the later part of the presentation, there was also Journal Finder, right? So I would say use Journal Finder first. If you find that there's an article or journal in Elsevier that is somewhere that you like to publish in, go to the journal homepages, look through the journals, the journal information, look at who the editors are, look at the methodology section, look at the aims and objectives of the journal. These are actually very important processes so that you're able to align if the journal is the best possible platform for you to actually publish in, right? So this is something which you have to do. So unfortunately, the platform tools that I've shown you just now, they apply to Elsevier. It doesn't cover other publishers such as Nature, Springer Nature, or Wiley. So you may have to approach each of these publishers separately as well. Yes. So Yati is asking if manuscript template and instruction to the authors are available on Journal Finder. They are not, but you can find them within the journal homepages, which is just one selection away. So I have a couple of questions. Well, there's a lot of questions. Sorry, give me 1 second to go through slowly. So there's a question if SciMargo list of journals is the same as that of Scopus. Not exactly. So within Scopus itself, we have an SJR record for Scopus index journals. How we do this, I'll walk you through later during the session itself, because Scopus itself is actually a very comprehensive and collective database that we do our own indexing of journals itself. So the data, so the journals that are accepted within Scopus, we will then map it accordingly to have the SJR records on it as well. So where we can start the searches on ScienceDirect, all you need to do is simply go to the home page itself. You're able to select on the basic search tool, or you're actually able to also select on the advanced search. Is it suitable to find materials related to law? I would say that you can find some materials related to law, but it's not a law-specific database. If you're looking for a research ebook, first and foremost, you may want to search for it under the book section, type in the book title, and then see if you have access to it. Hakim is asking if you can search for articles based on affiliation. So this is actually a very interesting question. So what you can do first and foremost would be to work it on to the other way around. So you should do the searches actually on Scopus first, and then if you're interested in the article, then you can actually link it back over to ScienceDirect to see if you have the content. So if ScienceDirect, if a search is saved, it remains there until it saves there until you choose to remove it. So it's actually there permanently unless you choose to disable your search alert. Someone is asking if there is a fee of publication. So if you're choosing to publish in what we call a subscription journal, the journal is free of charge. On the other hand, if you want to publish in what we call a Go Open Access journal, then you probably will have to pay a fee. So my first question to you is, one, do you need to publish this in a Go Open Access journal? Why do you want to publish for a journal? Pay to publish for a journal, right? So the most important thing is that when you actually when you actually publish a journal article, most of the time it's actually free to publish. You only pay to publish when you want to make your article free. So first and foremost, you need to check on the journals which you're looking to publish in. You need to verify that this is actually a proper journal and not a predatory journal. So you need to do your homework first, right? To make sure if the journal that you're choosing to publish in is the best journal for you to actually achieve your research aims and objectives. Which is the best, Mendeley or EndNotes? Well, I can't say which is the best. I feel that Mendeley, and I've heard this from many people, that Mendeley is easy to use. So, and I'm from Elsevier, so obviously this is not a very unbiased, it's a very biased way for me to ask me this question. So I will leave this up to you to decide. So I'm actually not familiar with the service provision by Clarivate, so I can't really say for certain. But I would say the journal finder is basically intrinsically built in within the Elsevier system itself. Another question from Mr. Tan is, the name is created on Elsevier after published conferences. This is actually a Scopus question. So with regards to that, that boils down under actually author profiles. So I'll go through that later and you can probably ask me later. Hi Tikram, if you're a USM librarian and interested to do the data mining using API, please feel free to drop me an email and I'll work with you on this as well. The journal list on Elsevier is actually this is actually very easy for you to find. You can simply go to Google. Actually, Google actually does a very, very good job of this, and simply type in for journal title list Elsevier, and this should be able to give you a very good search. It brings you to a page. You'll be able to see what journal titles there are under the Freedom Collection and under specific collections per se, subject collections per se. How many days will it take to publish a research after it's submitted? That is a very good question. So it depends on the journal in which you're submitting to. The journal would have the first date of reply, and they will give you a range of the dates. So just now when I was showing you on Journal Finder, on the Elsevier Journal Finder, you'll also be able to see what's the date of first response. So maybe you can use that as a barometer as well. Okay, so once again, I would summarize for everyone, and apologies for going slightly too fast during the presentation itself. I'll go a bit slower moving forward. For those of you who are looking to get the recorded presentation, this will be shared with you by the librarian after you have registered, so not to worry. All right, so if that's all for now, I would actually close this, I'll stop this recording and I'll proceed on to Scopus.